Welcome to Intuitive Alchemy, the space where we turn cosmic and spiritual insight into practical, real-world healing. I'm Sydney, trained intuitive, energetic alchemist, and medical astrologer in training. And on Intuitive Alchemy, I get personal. We don't do surface level here. We go deep. No fluff, just the energetic shifts, raw stories, and grounded practices that actually change your life and activate your personal power. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to Intuitive Alchemy. This week I am finally going to be talking about a topic that I have been promising to talk about for, probably a few months at this point. And I have talked all about the real root causes and the astrological causes of thyroid issues. And this week I'm going to talk about autoimmune issues. Where do those come from? And we're going to talk about astrology, but also the other things that cause that and whatever they may be. Obviously there are so many different autoimmune disorders. So we're going to talk about really just what's at the root of all of them. And, let's just jump right into it. So here is a stat that I was pretty shocked to see. I knew that women have autoimmune disorders way more than men do, but I didn't realize exactly how common it has become. So 1 in 5 women will develop an autoimmune disorder or disease at some point in their life. And if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I am one of them. I have developed one. I have Hashimoto's. And so this is just, 1 in 5. We got to do something about this, ladies. This is climbing. That's obviously, it's only getting more. It's only becoming more rampant is what we're seeing. And 80% of autoimmune patients are female. So this is not something that is equally represented between genders. This is overwhelmingly female. And the numbers, like I said, they're climbing every single year. So obviously, if you're not familiar with autoimmune, a few of them are Hashimoto's, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, celiac disease. There are so many, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, so many different, what's the skin one? Psoriasis, so many different autoimmune disorders. And honestly, the medical response is, and I can speak on this from experience, the Western medical response is just really underwhelming. It's just very not really sure what exactly causes it. Or it's it's just a mix of your genetics and maybe a little bit of stress. We don't really know exactly, but maybe it's caused by having mold exposure or what was another one that they told me, chronic infections. If you were someone who had chronic infections as a kid or something like that, it's just kind of a bunch of random things that's okay, but why, what? So I had ear infections as a kid and now I have fucking Hashimoto. What? Make it make sense. But here, what they're missing in Western medicine is really just the whole picture. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, you guys know this, but I'm just going to say it anyway, in case you're a new listener. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I am a medical astrologer. And I'm someone who has learned, more than I ever thought I would about just health and nutrition and wellness and root causes and everything just on my own personal medical and health and wellness journey. So I'm going to preface that by all of what I'm about to say is not going to be medical advice. It never is. It's energetic insight, and you are a full grown adult and you get to choose what you do and what you don't do and what resonates and what doesn't resonate. So just got to put that out there. All right. So what I want to talk about, probably like the three things that we're really going to hit on. We're going to hit on a lot of things today, but probably the three like themes are going to be the connection between patriarchal conditioning and autoimmune disease, and boundary violations and our bodies, specifically women's bodies, and what medical astrology reveals about these specific patterns. Okay, so your immune system is your body's boundary enforcement mechanism. Your immune system is designed to recognize the self versus the not self, and then it protects you accordingly. And so actually, let me back up just a little bit. If you are listening to this and you're like, I don't have an autoimmune disease, I don't know exactly what they are. Basically, like in very, very simple terms, an autoimmune disease or disorder just means that your own immune system is attacking your own tissue. And depending on which disease you have, it will determine like what part of the body your immune system is focusing on attacking. So like for me, I have Hashimoto's. So what that means is my immune system is creating antibodies to fight against my own thyroid. So, yeah, like if you have psoriasis, like it's attacking the skin. If you have ulcerative colitis, it's attacking the colon and I guess maybe the intestines as well. I'm not too sure how far that goes, but definitely the colon. If you have Crohn's disease, again, it's the colon and maybe other parts of that. Lupus, I believe, is the kidney. I think that's what Selena Gomez has, and I believe she had a kidney transplant. So, anyway, it just means that your immune system is attacking its own tissue by mistake. Like obviously it's doing it to protect you from something that it believes to be foreign and a threat, but it's really just your own tissue. So, okay, whoa, I lost my place. So basically, women are conditioned in our society, at least. Now, I am American, I live in the US, so that is what I'm going to be talking about. That's what I'm familiar with. Obviously, in other parts of the world, it might be a little bit different, and depending on the culture and the patriarchy or matriarchy, depending on what you live with, this could be a little bit different. But of course, I'm going to speak only from my perspective because that's really all I can do. And here women are very, very, very conditioned to put everyone else's needs first. And I've talked about this before, like even if you weren't outright like taught that or told that like very explicitly, it's just kind of something that you just kind of start to be programmed. Like little girls, we play with like baby dolls, and you're like always kind of already nurturing that like kind of maternal aspect of you. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with things like that. It's not like, if I have a daughter, I'm not going to be like, you can't play with baby dolls, like nothing like that. But it's just like all of these things put together, they do create a certain kind of conditioning. And so whenever we're kind of taught, like, put everyone else's needs first, take care of everyone else first, that can start this pattern. Ignoring our own body's signals when it's inconvenient. Because again, we just kind of self-sacrifice ourselves. We put ourselves on the back burner because we want to make other people feel comfortable, or like, oh, I'll do it later, or I need to first take care of the kids or the dogs or my partner or my job, like literally anything else before I take care of myself. And then suppressing anger, you know, like the, it's very like Taylor Swift right now because she just released The Life of a Showgirl this past Friday. So the song that's coming to my mind when I'm talking about like female anger or female rage is like her song Mad Woman, like No One Likes a Mad Woman. It's true. Women get so much shit for just like reacting appropriately to things that should make them very mad. But we suppress our anger because we don't want to be the mad woman. We don't want to be like, you know, gaslit for being for having an appropriate emotion or an appropriate response to something, especially toward authority. And we just accommodate endlessly to make everyone else feel comfortable and welcome, and like we just like don't want to be a bother and we want to just like accept everything, basically except for ourselves, and feeling guilty for having needs, working our way ourselves into the ground to prove that we have value, when of course we all have innate value. We don't have to prove it. And it's just smiling through it all, you know, just grinning and bearing it and just like, it's fine. Like, so I wrote an article that is going into everything I'm talking about today in a little bit more detail because it's written on Substack, which I'll link it if you want to read it. And I put the little like meme of like the little dog that's like, he's got like, there's like a fire going on behind him and he just has this like tight smile and it's just like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. This is fine. And that's just kind of like what I think about whenever I just said that. So our immune systems get really confused about internal boundaries when we are not enforcing external boundaries, and we haven't been for decades. And maybe, you know, I really hope that you don't relate to this and that you're listening to this going like, Sydney, no, like I'm not like this. I wasn't raised like this. But I'm just going to say, like, chances are you may have been, maybe not all of it, but at least some of it. And so even if you don't have an autoimmune disease, like, I love that for you. And I hope that you never do. I hope that you're never one of the ones in 5 that do develop it. But it is still important for you to know this so that you can defend against, you know, like, because just because you may have a certain tendency or vulnerability toward developing an autoimmune disorder based on your genetics or based on just patterns in your family, that you may be susceptible, but that doesn't mean that it has to happen. If you learn these things and you learn what to do and what not to do, you may totally avoid ever developing it in the first place. And what a blessing would that be? I mean, I wish I could go back and know all of the things I know now. I mean, even just if I could just go back like 2.5 years or like 2 years, my God, like I may not have even developed Hashimoto's. Like it truly would have been possible, because I hadn't developed it up until I was like 30. And it was, for me, as a result of something traumatic that had happened in my life. Up until that point, I didn't have any of the signs of it. I didn't have the symptoms. I didn't have any of the patterns that were, that would have suggested, you know, for me to be like, something's going wrong here in my body. And so I just want to say that to you as well. Like, just because you don't have to wait until you have one or until you have been diagnosed with one to start to put what I'm going to talk about like into practice in your life. So I should have said that first, but anyway. Okay, so back to what I was talking about your immune system gets confused whenever about internal boundaries, whenever it can't express or hold external boundaries. So some examples to that would be like, so when your immune system attacks the thyroid, because you've been silencing your voice for however long, or whenever it goes after your joints, like in rheumatoid arthritis. God, why can I not say that? Rheumatoid arthritis. You've been holding yourself rigid for probably years. When your immune system targets your gut, you've probably been swallowing some serious rage and it's getting angry in there, really irritated. So whenever we're looking at like these emotional root causes, it's pretty literal. Like if you're swallowing rage and you're not speaking up and you're just like swallow it, swallow it, swallow it, swallow it, repress it, repress it, repress it. It's literally like you're thinking of these angry words, angry things that you want to express. Now it's like just literally sitting in your gut. And what is ulcerative colitis? It's literally fucking ulcers in your colon that are so angry and painful. And like that is the physical manifestation of swallowing your rage for however long that it took for your body to go, that's fucking enough. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Now I have to like be a little bit louder about this and give you some symptoms to make you pay attention. So these are not abstract metaphors. These are very literal, like cause and effect things, and you can see them very, very clearly. Your body is just, it's translating years of suppressed self-protection into these physical, very physical symptoms and experiences. It's literally like it's internal war. And it feels like that. I mean, I don't, thank God I don't have ulcerative colitis, but I know people who have that and it is extremely painful. Hashimoto's, I wouldn't say it's painful, but it is, it's not fun. I wouldn't say the hallmark symptom is pain necessarily, but like fatigue and lack of energy, weight gain, those kinds of things. That's not stuff you would want for sure. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about the astrology and just the patterns, the different astrological patterns. There are certain patterns that appear consistently in autoimmune charts, and they're too consistent to ignore. Like it's too consistent for it to just be like, oh, it's a coincidence, or, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. So the first pattern we'll talk about is the Saturn-Moon signature. So like hard aspects. Talking like squares, oppositions. I have my moon square my Saturn. So that for me is like ding, 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 ding. These things appear consistently in autoimmune charts. And so what does that mean? It means that, well, first of all, Saturn restricts. Saturn is it's a malefic planet. I've talked about Saturn plenty here on the podcast. It's tough. Saturn is challenging. And the moon is your emotional needs and self-care. So whenever Saturn, restricting planet, is in some kind of a hard or harsh aspect, like a square or an opposition to the moon, what happens is there's a clash, and emotional needs systematically can start to be denied, or they just always are denied and or punished. And you might even start to see these things happening, like they might even start in childhood and they just kind of add up. Or it could be a situation that maybe is a little bit more like me, where, maybe that kind of started in childhood, but it wasn't enough for it to actually physically manifest into a full-blown autoimmune disorder until something like really kicked it off in adulthood for me. So, it's definitely not a one size fits all. That's like my favorite thing to say. Okay. Pattern number 2, Virgo Pisces axis. So Virgo, we'll talk about Virgo first. That is digestion and daily health as it relates to medical astrology. Of course, Virgo is a lot of other things as well, but we're just talking about the health aspect today. And then Pisces is the immune system and boundaries or lack thereof. Now, whenever you think about Pisces, this is what's unique about Pisces. So it's the one water sign. There are 3, of course. That's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And Pisces is the only one that is not depicted by an animal that has a hard outer shell. So Scorpio, scorpion has a hard outer shell. Cancer, crab has a hard outer shell. Those both have more boundaries. Pisces is the fish, or two fish. And Pisces is known for like really not having as many boundaries and being much more sensitive because of that, because there's not like so much distinction between the internal and the external. So whenever it's heavily oh my gosh, why are my words escaping me today? Heavily emphasized with challenging aspects, like whenever that is how it is in your chart, what you can see is obsessing over doing everything right. That would be more Virgo. Having no idea where you are and where others begin. That would be Pisces. Like you're just kind of merging into everyone and everything else, like kind of just chameleoning yourself. And just kind of, not holding true to yourself and standing up for yourself. And then of course that can develop into issues that force you to prioritize yourself, such as an autoimmune disease. I mean, once you get sick, you have to prioritize. I mean, I guess you don't have to. Everybody always has a choice. Maybe you don't have to, but if you want to be better and have your wellness and your health back, then you will start to prioritize yourself. All right, pattern number 3, the 6th house and 12th house crisis. So the 6th house is, I've said this many times, it is the health house in medical astrology. It is your daily health and service. The 12th house is self-sacrifice and hidden matters. Significant planetary activity with challenging placements, challenging aspects. So what this would translate into, if you had it in your chart, would be like health crisis that reveals a self-sacrifice pattern, or your body becomes your like your hidden enemy. Or you may have just never been taught to protect yourself from external threats. And, that maybe you were raised by a Pisces parent and they also don't really know how, or, there's so many different reasons of why this could be the case for you. But, if you've got significant planetary activity with challenging aspects in the 6th or the 12th house or both, then these are the kinds of things that you can see. Pattern number 4, Mars. The Mars problem. Mars rules the immune system's warrior function, like the immune system's fight function. It's the ability to fight off threats and to assert the needs. And so in autoimmune charts, Mars is often retrograde. And so that would be like internalized aggression. That's how that could possibly manifest if you have Mars in retrograde in your chart. If you have Mars in the 12th house, you might have like hidden or suppressed anger. If your Mars placement is heavily afflicted by Saturn, you might have rage, disciplined, like out of existence. Like you may have been like shamed, or you may have been disciplined as a child for being angry, to the point where it just kind of disappeared, and you kind of like you felt like it went away, but it actually didn't go away. Like it actually never really goes away if it's unexpressed. Or if you have Mars in a sign where it struggles, like Cancer or Libra, Mars doesn't want to be in Cancer or Libra. And so those placements can be challenging without support and without you understanding what they need in order to thrive as much as they possibly can, given that they're in a difficult sign that Mars doesn't love to be in. Mars loves to be in Aries or Scorpio. Those are two placements that are Mars is very happy there. So when Mars can't express outward, that warrior fight energy turns inward. And so the immune system becomes the outlet for that unexpressed rage that you may think that it went away or whatever. Well, it didn't. Here it is. It's coming back and it's now attacking your own tissue. Okay, so we're going to talk about just three. I don't know if I'm going to talk about three. We're going to talk about some specific conditions. We'll see how many we make it through. I have notes here and I'm just like, I don't want to go on for an hour about this, so we'll see. But first, and I have done a whole episode about the astrology of thyroid issues, but just very quickly, since I didn't really talk a lot about Hashimoto's in that episode. So we'll talk about the thyroid epidemic really quickly here. Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism are reaching epidemic levels. It's crazy. Like thyroid issue girlies are just rampant. And so Hashimoto's is the autoimmune version of like that's where your immune system is attacking the thyroid tissue. Hypothyroidism, it basically just means like a sluggish thyroid. It's not producing the proper like hormones at the rate that it should be, and so you have like it's sluggish, it's slow. And then the opposite of hypothyroidism is hyper, where it is actually too fast, and that can be very dangerous as well. And that can turn into things like Graves' disease, which I believe is also an autoimmune disorder. I could be wrong about that though. Okay, so the thyroid is in the throat and it governs metabolism, energy, and life force energy as well. The thyroid is ruled by Taurus and the second house, which is the house of self-worth, resources, and the right to take up space. So what to look for in your chart for a potential thyroid something going on would be aspects to Mercury, because those themes could be communication and being heard. Venus in Taurus or second house, that would be self-worth. Throat chakra blocks, which would be like Taurus or Gemini, having challenging aspects. And aspects to your north node, that would be like your soul's journey is blocked at your throat. Like your own throat or your voice is blocking your soul's journey. So the pattern that we can see with these things is women being taught that their voice doesn't matter. You learn to just like swallow your truth, swallow your words. You don't really speak up for yourself. You made yourself smaller, quieter, more palatable, more agreeable. You dimmed just kind of your entire energy system for other people's comfort or other people's acceptance, maybe. And your thyroid slowed down and your body starts to then force the issue and stage a rebellion. And then that can turn into Hashimoto's, where your body actually starts to produce antibodies against its own thyroid. Okay, let's talk about gut issues. So that's like celiac, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, IBS, which IBS is actually often an undiagnosed autoimmune disorder. So the gut is where we process and eliminate what doesn't serve us. It is not just food. It is experiences, emotions, just like bullshit that we couldn't tolerate. A lot of times with gut issues, we like truly just want to focus in on like nutrition and literal things that you're eating, but it is not like gut health is not just about physical nutrition and like your nutrients and like your food. It is literally just as much, if not more. In my experience, it's actually been more about emotions than actual food. And that's of course not to say that we don't also want to eat healthy and have a gut health, nutrition plan in mind. Like obviously that doesn't mean like, okay, take care of your emotions and then just eat whatever you want. No, but you'll have more freedom with food, more food freedom, whenever you have a balanced and regulated nervous system and your emotions are not completely running rampant and affecting your gut. So the gut is ruled by Virgo and the sixth house. It is also connected to the moon, which is your like emotional digestion, kind of like what I was just talking about. The fourth house, which is family patterns, like how you internalized family patterns. And then eighth house is what you're holding from others. Now, some chart patterns that we can see for gut issues are difficulty processing emotions. This is especially true if you have the moon in an earth sign with hard aspects. Toxic family dynamics that like quote unquote looked fine. If you have a challenging fourth house placement. Next is absorbing others' pain. Emphasized 12th house. If you have an emphasized 12th house or Pisces, that can be like kind of like what we were talking about earlier about just kind of not knowing where you stop and where someone else begins. Like you're just absorbing, like you're just like a sponge. Pisces is a sponge. It doesn't have a barrier really. It is just like soaking up everyone and everything else's energy. And then the last thing is perfectionism about being like good, quote unquote good, like a good girl. That is very Virgo. And so especially if you have like a Virgo stellium or sixth house emphasis, that can be perfectionism and just really being overly concerned about being good can be a huge pattern that you see in your life. And so what's really happening is you're swallowing like literal and metaphorical shit for years. You're swallowing your words, your anger, your family dysfunction, your workplace dissatisfaction, or potentially even abuse if that's something that you've experienced. You are swallowing belief that you can't say no, like that you can't reject anything that doesn't work for you because that would be too difficult, or that would be too much, or that would like just stir the pot too much, or it would upset someone. Your gut is revolting, literally, because you never learned that you actually don't have to swallow everything. You can spit some stuff out that doesn't serve you and that doesn't feel good to you. Okay, so this is not just, this is very collective. This is not just individual. This is a collective epidemic. We all may have different root causes as far as like what is the actual like birth chart placements and what is the focus, like is it more your voice, is it more your gut, like what is it? We may have different ways that it expresses itself, but it is a very, very collective epidemic. And so here I'm just going to talk about a few transits that have happened over the last several years and kind of talk about how we've gotten here, kind of. Now, of course, this could go back and back and back and back and back, till the beginning of time, but I'm just going to talk about starting in 2008. So Pluto in Capricorn, that was 2008 to 2024. The themes were like exposing and destroying patriarchal systems, and like including how they operate in our bodies as women. And then Uranus and Taurus, that was 2018 until 2026. So it's still currently in Taurus. Revolutionary changes to self-value and how we relate to our physical bodies. Those are the themes that we're experiencing with Uranus and Taurus. Saturn in Pisces, that is from 2023 to 2026. And the theme there is forcing boundaries around emotional and energetic needs. Saturn is all about boundaries. If you didn't listen to my episode a few weeks ago, Lessons from Saturn, my second degree sunburn, Saturn is all about boundaries, okay? And it will force you. Saturn isn't like cute about it. It's not like, oh, here's a little nudge. It's like, no, you bitch are going to set some motherfucking boundaries. Like that's kind of like what Saturn, that's the energy of Saturn. And that is very much how I experience it because I am ruled by Saturn. Saturn is my chart ruler because I have it in my first house and I have Aquarius in my first house. So like double Saturn energy there. And then Pluto entering Aquarius, that is 2023 to 2044. So Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for a hot minute. It's a 20-year transit. The theme is transforming understanding of health and healing collectively, which is amazing. Like, that's music to my ears. I definitely want to have more Aquarian energy around like health and healing and just kind of fighting against the norm that we've created in the Western health. God, I want to say crisis just because I truly just think that it is one. That's my own opinion. So yeah, the translation with all of that is the cosmos is forcing forcing a reckoning with all of the patriarchal conditioning. Women's bodies are rejecting old programming like rapidly, which, I mean, it's like, it's good. It's painful when it's happening, but it's good. But your autoimmune disease, I just want to say this, does not equal personal failure. It is not like, oh, I just didn't do this good enough, or I didn't eat well enough, or whatever story you want to tell yourself that is going to make you feel worse. Like, don't do it. Your autoimmune disease is not personal failure. So much of it is literally collective programming mixed with maybe you having a certain tendency in your chart that would lead you to be more susceptible to something like this. And then also just things that you didn't know, that you maybe weren't taught because maybe your parents didn't have the tools, or, you know, whatever the situation may have been. Your body is participating in a collective revolution. I don't know why I'm just like unable to speak today, but here we are. Your body is participating in a collective revolution. I almost wanted to say revelation, but no, revolution. So your chart is not punishing you. Your body is not punishing you. Your immune system is not punishing you. Nothing is punishing you. It is trying to wake you up. And when I say that, trust me, I'm also saying that to me because I have had plenty of days feeling pretty sorry for myself for having an autoimmune disorder and just the symptoms that come along with that. But here's what your chart is saying: that you cannot keep ignoring your needs. That's your moon. That you can't keep silencing yourself. That's your Mercury. That you cannot keep absorbing other people's problems. That's Pisces, Neptune, and 12th house. That you can't keep performing perfection. Virgo and 6th house. You can't keep swallowing rage. Mars. And you cannot keep sacrificing yourself to be, quote unquote, good. And that is Saturn/the moon. Your immune system is attacking its own tissue because you are attacking yourself, essentially, for having needs, for having boundaries, for having anger, for having a voice that may want to say something different from what people around you are saying, or that may want to say something that you were taught was wrong to say or taboo, or it's a different belief system than maybe you were raised with. Your body is forcing you. If you have developed an autoimmune disease, your body is forcing you to stop, to rest, and to finally put yourself first. That you have to put yourself first. You don't have to, but you do have to. If you want to feel better, you do have to. All right, so the healing path. Let's talk about the wellness industry. The wellness industry, in my experience, is very much about and it's very well-intentioned, I think, for the most part. It's very like, okay, here are the functional tests that you need to have done. Here are the supplements. Here are the minerals. Here is, go gluten-free, go dairy-free, blah, blah, blah. Do a liver cleanse or liver detox. Do your red light therapy. Do blah, 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 blah. All these things. And it's like, no, are any of these things bad? No, they're not. They're not bad. But are they addressing the boundary crisis that is at the root? No, they're not. something that's really, really common within like the Hashimoto's, if you follow any of the kind of like holistic health practitioners in the Hashimoto space, is like Hashimoto's is deficient selenium. Just take a selenium supplement. And it's like, that is so harmful to make someone believe that all they need to do is order a fucking $12 selenium supplement on Amazon or whatever, and that will be all they need. No, that's not all that you need. And it doesn't matter for all of these. It doesn't matter how clean your diet is or how many protocols you follow or how many like really high quality supplements you follow or how many times a week you sit in the sauna and you do your red light therapy and you exercise and blah, 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 blah. It does not matter any of that if you're still people pleasing until you collapse, or if you're still saying yes when what you really mean is no. Or if you're ignoring your body's signals, you're suppressing anger to keep the peace with people that you probably at the end of the day don't even really want to be around. You might have to be around them because of like work or family, but like you probably don't even want to be around them. If you're still sacrificing your needs for someone else's comfort, or if you're still working yourself into the ground to prove that you have worth, nothing matters about your diet. Like that's like the least important thing at that point. Your immune system is going to keep attacking you because you are still attacking yourself. So I think at this point, you understand, you'll understand the correlation there of like when you're attacking yourself, your immune system attacks itself. And so here's the healing path. You want to work with your Saturn placement. Learn that boundaries are not mean. They are literally medicine. You want to honor your moon placement. You need to actually feel and express your emotions. I know that can be tough. I am a Sagittarius moon and nobody loves escapism more than me. But you have to actually feel and express your emotions. You want to activate your Mars placement appropriately. Find safe outlets for anger and assertion. Safe outlets. So maybe you go to a rage room every couple months. Maybe you want to do some pillow slams on the floor. That's kind of a fun one. Maybe you want to scream in a pillow. Maybe you want to like scream, sing while you're driving. Whatever you need to do, that is a safe outlet, but you need to express your anger. It doesn't make you a mad woman. You want to heal your 6th and 12th house axis. Service does not equal sacrifice. You can serve without sacrificing yourself and putting yourself on the absolute back burner. Strengthen your Pisces placement. Boundaries protect your energy. You need to set boundaries that protect your energy and do not confuse your energy with someone or something else's. And then lastly, we want to address your Chiron wound. Where is your Chiron? What is your Chiron placement? The deepest healing can come from the deepest wound. So the Chiron is the wounded healer is really kind of like what the Chiron placement is called. So if we can heal that wound, you will experience some of the deepest healing that you could ever experience. So what am I not saying? I am not saying go throw away your medication. Go don't take your thyroid medication. I'm not saying any of that. So do not get it twisted. I am not saying to ignore your doctor. Modern medicine has its place. Of course it does. But managing symptoms does not equal treating the root cause. Managing symptoms does not equal healing, unfortunately. I mean, I wish that it did, but it just doesn't. Managing symptoms is honestly, it's just a Band-Aid. And if you're good with that, if you're like, no, that's all I want. I just want to manage my symptoms. I want to take my medication. I want to manage my symptoms. Okay, cool. Like then I'm not the person for you. This is not the podcast for you. And that's fine. But if you do want to heal at the root, then keep listening and do these things and read the article that I'm going to link for you at the bottom, in the show notes. So symptom management is not healing. Medical systems refusing to to address psychological, emotional, and spiritual components is, I mean, that's what it is. Like you're not going to go to an MD for the most part and have them be like, yeah, like this is actually a very spiritual problem. Like they're not going to say that. They're not trained to. And they have their place, they have their time. But it's keeping women sick when we're not realizing what the true root causes and patterns are behind autoimmune disorder. So what is the role of the birth chart? I know some people are like, okay, so how, I know that I have a birth chart and I know that there's some good information in there, but like, what is the role of it when it comes to physically healing? Well, here's what it is. It can guide you to the root of a pattern for you specifically, when it's not just like, oh, you're deficient in this mineral or you blah, blah, blah. Like it's literally going to be like, oh, well, because you have your moon square Saturn, then da, 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 da. Like it's going to be very, very, very specific to you and your specific patterns and your specific potential diagnoses or just symptoms that you're experiencing if it hasn't got to the point of you actually getting diagnosed. It can show you different physical interventions that could be really supportive for your body. It can tell you, like I was just doing a birth chart reading for someone over the weekend, and for her, like based on her specific placements, breath work is going to be like her number one, like healing methodology. And that it's not the same for me. Like breath work is not bad for me, but that's not like the thing. We all have different things that are more effective based on our placements. So it can show you different things of like, oh my God, this will be magic for you if you do it. And it can also show you where things that like you may need to stop doing. Or, another thing that I found, this is a little bit off topic, but another thing that I found was she had an Aries stellium. She had so much Aries energy. And she currently was eating a vegetarian diet, and that actually is not for her specific placements that she had in Aries. Well, and she also had a Sagittarius. She had a lot of Sagittarius, so that's 2 fire signs. So because of her specific placements, eating a vegetarian diet is actually not the best option for her. And so our charts can just give us so much insight into really like how we should be living and nourishing our bodies and taking care of our bodies. And how we can just kind of unfuck ourselves, like for lack of better words. And so yeah, that's really all I have for you today. But I just really want to encourage you that just in this culture that profits from women self-sacrificing and not holding up boundaries, and in that culture, in a culture that really capitalizes on women not being in their power, choosing to heal your autoimmune disease is a revolutionary act. And it's like an act of courage, of heroism. And is that a word? Heroism? I think it is. Anyway, I said it and it just felt weird for a second, but we're going to go with it. So anyway, I just really want to encourage you to remember, say no without apologizing. You don't have to be hateful, but just say no. If you mean no, say no. Rest when you're tired instead of whenever you are so incredibly burnt out that like literally your only option is to rest. Rest before it gets to that point. Express your anger appropriately instead of swallowing it. Put your needs first without guilt. It doesn't mean that you don't still take care of other people or other things. It just means that you took care of you first. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. There's plenty of other content on other episodes if you need to know kind of what that looks like. Protect yourself from energy vampires. If you notice that when you're around certain people or you're watching a certain show or you're just in certain environments where you're like, I just feel like shit after, take take that as a clue and don't do that anymore, or don't go there anymore. Or if it's somewhere that you don't have an option because maybe it's like your office and you have to go there, just do as much as you can to protect your energy and to create boundaries around yourself that make it harder for those outside vampires to penetrate. And then speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Trust me, I get it. This one's difficult. I struggle with this one still because I would rather just kind of ignore it, or like, you know, I don't know, just remove myself, I guess, from the situation rather than potentially have a conflict with someone. But I'm learning and I'm getting better. So let's rewire the patterns that made us sick. We want to do the actual healing work so that we can actually heal. We don't want just band-aids. If you're still here at this point in the episode, I can just feel pretty confident that you are not just looking for a band-aid. Just like me, you want to actually heal at the root. And your chart shows you where the work needs to be done and how the work needs to be done in order for that to happen. So if you are ready to take the next step and you want a little bit of help, like maybe you listened to this episode and you heard me talking about some of the different placements and you're like, okay, what the fuck does that mean though? Like, what does it mean if my moon is square Saturn, or if I have this placement or that placement, or if I have a challenging 12th house placement? Like, what does that mean? Here's what you can do. You can book, now that I have this available, you can book a medical astrology health blueprint reading with me. It is still 50% off for a limited time. I don't know how long I'm going to do this, but for right now, it's still 50% off, and I am still guaranteeing that I will get you back the 50 plus page report in 3 days, within 3 days. So I will link that for you in the show notes if you want to grab that opportunity. It is so next level. Like, it is so good. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one for myself the same exact way that I make one for clients, because obviously I'm not going to share a client's chart, but I'll share mine. I don't care. I'm not shy about that. So I'm going to create my whole entire report for myself as if I was doing it for a client, and I will share it. I think I'll probably share it on Substack for free so everyone can see it. So you can see exactly what it is that you get whenever you sign up for a medical astrology health blueprint reading with me. And so I'll do that within the next couple of days. But of course, if you're like, I'm already sold, I need this information, go for it, book. I can't wait to get my eyes on your chart and to give you all of my findings, all of my little tidbits and nuggets and recommendations and everything. So anyway, I know this has been a long one. So if you're still here, you're a real one. And I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. I will talk to you next Tuesday. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend who needs it. Take a screenshot, post it to your Instagram story, and tag me at Intuitively Sydney. That's SIDNEY. I would love, love, love to see who's tuning in so I can connect with you and celebrate you. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.